Hi, I'm Jamila King. I'm news editor with Colorlines.com, a daily news site dedicated to racial justice, and I'm here guest hosting for Free Speech TV at the National Conference for Media Reform. And joining me is Andrew Stelzer. How are you doing, Andrew?
Pretty good. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. So you are joining us all the way from Oakland, California, where you work with the National Radio Project. Can you describe what you do there?
Sure. Oakland represent, just like you, coming from the Bay. We are a weekly half-hour public affairs radio show. We're on about 130 stations around the country, community radio, public radio, and sometimes we do a documentary, sometimes it's interviews, speeches, under the broad umbrella of social justice. So we could do a show about the environment, we could do a show about war or the anti-war movement, we could be doing a show about immigrants' rights. And I'm one of the producers of the show. What we try to focus on is the perspectives of the people who are experiencing the issues. So if it's a show about immigrants' rights, we don't talk to the pundits, we talk to the immigrants. We just did a show about nail salon workers and some of the toxic chemicals that they're exposed to at work. So we talked to nail salon workers. We did a show about Arabs, Muslims, and South Asians and the discrimination they've faced in this country since 9/11. So we have the voices of those people. So we try to provide a platform for the people who are going through issues and dealing with things in the United States and around the world to get their voices out and to help people understand some of the solutions.
So I know that it's been a really tumultuous few years in Oakland, having lived there, and I know that the Oscar Grant murder and the trial of Johannes Mezerli has been really big in Oakland. Can you describe a little bit about what the sense of community you get in Oakland right now, being a journalist?
Well, I've actually done some coverage of the Oscar Grant situation. For those who don't know, unarmed black man killed by the transit police. And what we chose to focus on in making contact, the issue I've been covering is a lack of accountability by police. So how do we hold our law enforcement agencies accountable? As it is in almost every city around the country, it's the police chiefs or the mayors who really end up making the decision whether someone is fired or disciplined. In this case, this was a unique case where it did go to court and he got a minor sentence. I think people are frustrated that they don't feel they really have the power to oversee their police department. On the other hand, there is a lot of community organizing going on around that issue and around other issues. I mean, Oakland has a long history of community organizing going back to the Black Panthers and before that even. So it's kind of a balance. People are frustrated because people are seeing these issues play out in front of them, and in some ways it feels like it's not changing. But on the other hand, the Oscar Grant tragedy, I think, has sparked the community to really organize and try to strategize about what are we going to do, how are we going to fix this problem. Police corruption in Oakland has been a problem for decades.
Can you describe how people of color generally, but young folks in particular, are using media as a tool to fight back?
Well, youth radio is based in Oakland, and they've been doing great work. They're kind of, seems like, transitioning to video more than radio even. But increasingly these days, and it's something we've touched on here at the conference, your cell phone is all you need to make your podcast, to make video. And we're seeing that all the way from Egypt and Syria as well. So, the video of Oscar Grant getting shot is another example of that. And I think if people can understand that, can learn the tools available to them with basically just their cell phone and an internet connection, that they have the power to tell their stories, whether it's in a formal way through a blog or a video blog or through just capturing what's going on in the streets. I think young people are slowly, maybe not slowly, they're realizing that and figuring out that they have the power. And some of the people here, it's inspiring. They train youth and try to give them the skills and give them a space, and whether it's just a computer lab and a little instruction to use those tools to tell their stories.
So you mentioned that having the tools is really important, but definitely a theme at the National Conference for Media Reform has been also having the fluency in the policy, right? And so you talk to a lot of people, and they'll tell you that there's not a lot of protection for mobile broadband technology right now. What do you think is important about folks being well-versed in the policy of the issue?
Well, I mean, as with anything, if you don't understand the people making the rules, they're going to make rules you don't like. Unfortunately, in the United States, we often, sometimes we're even proud of our ignorance. Say, oh, I don't want to have to think about that. Well, if you don't think about it, it's going to come back and bite you in a few years. So, especially as some people are jumping over, some people who never even got internet in their home, their first internet connection is what's in their pocket, is their phone. And while we are still fighting for access to broadband and getting into the homes of low-income communities and rural areas, a lot of people, their internet connection and how they're going to experience the online world is going to be through their phone and their mobile devices. And who makes the rules over that is going to determine what they're able to do, how they're able to use it, how they're able to use it as a learning and organizing tool.
And so, can you talk a little bit about the stories that you think have been particularly important for your community this year?
In Oakland, police oversight is always an important issue. In Richmond, just north of Oakland, there's a Chevron oil refinery, and that's been going on for several years, but there's still an organizing effort to keep that refinery from expanding. That's been a really important issue. There's also, West Oakland, which is one of the poor areas of Oakland, struggling, as they have been for years, to get healthy food, to get some sort of economic development, and East Oakland as well. East and West Oakland are kind of the neglected areas of the town and have been for years, and the struggle for economic development. We have a new mayor in Jean Kwan. She's made a lot of promises. She was better than her main opponent, I would say. It remains to be seen how well she does on those promises. She's been doing some community outreach, and some libraries and school programs and health programs in the schools have opened. It remains to be seen, how she follows through on that.
And just real briefly, can you talk about any really good panels that you've seen or been on at the conference?
One panel I liked yesterday was how to use comedy. There were 4. I guess you'd say some comedians, maybe not in the traditional sense, but they're making interesting videos, funny videos. On the one hand, they say, activists have to be able to laugh a little bit more, but also it's a way of reaching people who might not consider themselves activists, get them turned on to an issue. They see something, be like, that's outrageous, but it gets the wheels turning, and it gets them thinking about the absurdity of some of the policies and statements being made by policymakers. So I think that was one of the most enjoyable ones.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Again, my name is Jamila King. I'm news editor with colorlines.com, a daily news site dedicated to racial justice, and I'm reporting live from the National Conference for Media Reform with Free Speech TV. Thank you.